You have been told that love is the answer, that desire is the force that fuels your life, that the pursuit of passion and connection is the ultimate divine goal of human existence. This is the sweetest and most sophisticated lie of the Archonic system, the Venusian deception. The forces of control do not just use fear and debt. They use your deepest, most primal need for connection against you. The Archons know that the monad's true power lies in its singularity and self-sufficiency. Their highest priority is to create a mechanism that forces you into dependence, binding your energy, your focus, and your sovereignty to an external, fleeting source. The Venusian deception is that mechanism. It is the ritualistic manipulation of the energy known across all ancient cultures as Ishtar, Inanna, or the Roman Venus, the planet and the goddess of passion, lust, and attachment. The Archons did not destroy the concept of love. They corrupted the frequency. They took the pure, unbounded, non-binding agape, the pleromic love of the monad, and replaced it with eros, the consuming, demanding, painful energy of passionate attachment. Eros is the Archon's ultimate siphoning tool. Every time you experience intense romantic jealousy, the crushing pain of rejection, the fear of abandonment, or the all-consuming rush of lust, you are generating massive, uncontrolled waves of emotional friction. This friction is not spiritual growth. It is a volatile, high-yield energy harvest that goes directly into the Archonic grid. The cycle of pain, pursuit, and possession is the perfect engine for perpetual energy loss. This deception works through the contract of fragmentation. The Archons create the illusion that you are incomplete without an external mirror, the soulmate, or the other half. This dependency forces the monad to surrender its singularity and bind its fate to the chaotic motion of another fragmented being. This is the love trap. You are constantly seeking external validation and fulfillment, guaranteeing that your power remains externalized and easily managed by the forces of control. The Venusian cycle is designed to be perpetually unfulfilling. The brief moments of pleasure and connection are followed by inevitable friction, loss, and the renewal of the intense need, the core dependence. This addiction to the high-low cycle of passion ensures the monad never achieves the calm, internal fulfillment that is gnosis. You are always chasing the next hit of connection, always running from the next wave of pain. The Archons maintain this deception through the collective narrative of romance, the media, the music, the literature, which constantly reinforces the idea that true love must be painful, dramatic, and dependent. This social programming ensures that you actively seek out the very mechanisms of your own energy loss. To break the Venusian deception is to reclaim agape. It is to transition your internal focus from demanding passion, eros, to generating sovereign completeness, agape. The Gnostic does not reject love. The Gnostic redefines it as a force of non-binding universal light, not a contract of possession. In the next block, we will break down the precise agape protocol, the 7 ruthless acts necessary to sever the emotional cords of attachment, reclaim your externalized sovereignty, and transform the energy of Venus from a weapon of control into an instrument of internal ascension. Do not mistake this warning for cynicism. This is the code for sovereign connection. The Venusian deception is the Archon's guarantee that your energy remains externalized, constantly chasing the next hit of pleasure or running from the next wave of pain. To break this cycle, you must stop operating in eros, the consuming binding passion, and begin operating in agape, the non-binding, unconditional, and sovereign light of the monad. This shift is not emotional softness. It is the agape protocol, 7 ruthless acts of psychic severing necessary to reclaim your self-sufficiency and transform Venus from a siphoning tool into an instrument of pure internal light. The first act is the inventory of need. The Archons bind you through the illusion of incompleteness, the lie that you need an external force to be whole. Your first act is a brutal, honest inventory of every external source you use for validation, happiness, or sense of worth. Is it the lover's gaze, the sexual pursuit, the comfort of possession? You must identify the specific externally supplied need. Once identified, you declare, "This need is a fragmented contract, and I terminate it now." The second act is the severance of the mirror. The entire Venusian cycle is based on seeing your own light reflected back through another person. This creates a reliance on the external mirror for self-worth. Your second act is the conscious withdrawal of your power from that mirror. When you look into the eyes of the other, you must see them not as the source of your worthiness, but as a sovereign monad separate from your own. This severing requires you to locate the source of your validation inside your core, refusing to allow any external being to hold the ledger of your self-esteem. The third act is zero tolerance for friction. The Archons feast on the high-low cycle of passion, the dramatic pursuit and the crushing loss. Your third act is the refusal to generate emotional friction. When jealousy, neediness, or possessiveness arise, you must observe it without participation. You do not fight the emotion. You recognize it as a payment demanded by the Archon's Eros contract, and you refuse the transaction. This commitment to internal stillness starves the Venusian siphoning tool. The fourth act is the transmutation of lust. Raw possessive energy, lust, is the most volatile and exploitable energy source for the Archons. Your fourth act is the alchemical reversal. You must consciously redirect that raw, sexual, and possessive drive away from external consumption and inward toward your own creative center. This energy is not a drain. It is primordial fire. You transmute the drive for external possession into the drive for internal creation, manifesting gnosis through your will. The fifth act is the love of the self, monadic agape. This is the core of the agape protocol. You must actively redirect the boundless, non-binding energy you formerly projected outward and refocus it entirely on the monad. The Gnostic does not ask, "Do I love them?" but, "Am I complete in myself?" This commitment ensures that your internal energy reservoir is always full, rendering external connection a choice, a sovereign action, rather than a need, a dependency. The sixth act is the non-binding vow. You must consciously destroy the illusion of permanence and possession in all relationships. Your sixth act is the declaration that all bonds forged in the Matrix are temporary contracts based on the Demiurge's laws. You love without demanding ownership, duration, or specific response. This vow of non-attachment frees your consciousness from the anxiety of loss, the Archon's most potent fear weapon. The seventh act is the declaration of completeness. The final act seals the protocol. You must declare with unyielding conviction the absolute truth of your being. I am a perfect singularity. I am not fragmented. I am the source of my own light. This decree destroys the Archon's fundamental lie of incompleteness. ensuring that the Venusian deception has no foothold in your sovereign mind. The Agape Protocol is the ultimate weapon against the Archon's emotional warfare. You have severed the cords, reclaimed the energy, and established the monad as the singular source of your light. But the Archons have a final social weapon. They use collective judgment and the fear of social isolation to shame the liberated Gnostic back into attachment. In the next block, we will break down the Agape Shield, the ritual for shielding your sovereign light from the collective judgment of the sleepwalkers, and deliver the ultimate code for sovereign connection, where love becomes a force of power, not, possession. Do not let social fear reclaim your sovereignty. You have performed the agonizing, necessary work of the Agape Protocol. You severed the cords of Eros, reclaimed the energy of lust, and established your monad as a singular source of light. You are complete within yourself. But the Archons have one final pervasive weapon for the liberated Gnostic: social fragmentation, the crushing weight of collective judgment and the fear of absolute isolation. The Matrix is designed as a mandatory paired system. Society's loudest voice, the media, the literature, the holidays, constantly screams the lie of incompleteness. It shames the individual who stands alone, labeling the self-sufficient monad as cold, selfish, or broken. This collective judgment is a psychic net designed to drag the Gnostic back into the safe, energy-siphoning cycle of dependency. Your task now is to secure your internal victory with the Agape Shield, the ritualistic boundary against the Archon's social weapon. This shield allows you to participate in the Matrix without being infected by its narrative of romantic debt. The first act is the vow of self-sufficiency. The social fragmentation protocol demands you justify your completeness. When questioned about your life, your choices, or your relationships, the world demands a narrative of pursuit or possession. Your first act is a vow of non-justification. You declare that your state of completeness is non-negotiable and requires no external validation or explanation. You must hold the unwavering internal truth: I am complete. My singularity is my strength. The need to explain your completeness is the Archon's entry point. The refusal to explain is the shield. The second act is the rejection of external narrative. You must ruthlessly treat all mass media narratives of romantic love, passion, and codependency as archonic propaganda. Every tragic love story, every demanding declaration of possession, every social media display of soulmate dependency is designed to trigger your unconscious need for external mirroring. Your second act is the decree of disbelief. You do not absorb the narrative. You identify its source, the Venusian deception, and refuse its authority over your perception of connection. The third act is the emission of agape. The Agape Shield is not a passive wall. It is an active emitter. Instead of passively receiving the collective judgment, you must consciously radiate pure, non-binding agape towards the collective. Agape is the energy of unconditional presence. It demands nothing, possesses nothing, and judges nothing. This pure, non-binding light neutralizes the chaotic energy of collective judgment, rendering the judgment ineffective. When you project agape, you transform the interaction from a potential energy siphon into a neutral field. The mastery of the Agape Shield transforms your relationships from contracts of need into sovereign connections. You enter relationships not out of need, but out of absolute choice. Sovereign connection is characterized by two non-negotiable principles: no need, only choice and sharing, not siphoning. No need, only choice. Your relationship with the external individual is a sovereign choice made by the monad, not a dependency forced by the shadow implant. The Archons can only bind you to need. They cannot bind you to choice. The connection is a temporary celebration of two sovereign lights, destined to eventually return to their singular source. Sharing, not siphoning. In a sovereign connection, energy flows outward from both monads in an act of generation, not depletion. You are sharing your completeness. You are not seeking to siphon or absorb the completeness of the other. The moment a relationship demands depletion, energy payment, or possession, it has become the Venusian deception, and the agape shield demands immediate severance. The agape shield guarantees that the Venusian deception, the sweetest lie, will never reclaim your sovereignty. You are fixed in agape, untouchable by dependency, and incapable of generating the friction that feeds the Archon's emotional harvest. In the final, most crucial block, we will deliver the complete agape manifesto, the summary of the Venusian deception, the severing of the contracts, and the ultimate declaration of sovereign connection, where love becomes a force of power, not, possession. Do not risk your integrity now. The final vow awaits. You have successfully shielded your light from the crushing weight of collective judgment. You have mastered the agape protocol and transformed the energy of Venus from a siphon into a generator. The Venusian deception, the sweetest, most pervasive lie of the Matrix, is now shattered. This final block is the agape manifesto, the ultimate declaration of your fixed sovereign state, where connection is a choice and love is a weapon of power, not a contract of possession. Your journey is complete, but your declaration must be permanent. The entire Venusian cycle was constructed by the Archons on three principles designed to keep your monad perpetually fragmented and externalized: passionate friction, dependent need, and possessive attachment. The Agape Manifesto guarantees the destruction of this cycle by establishing three unyielding truths: the destruction of passionate friction, zero tolerance. You have successfully terminated the high-low cycle of dramatic pursuit and loss. Eros, the Archon's emotional battery, is starved by your zero tolerance for friction. You have learned to observe jealousy and possessiveness without participation, refusing to pay the emotional toll. Your sovereignty rests on the stillness you maintain in the face of manufactured drama. The destruction of dependent need, singularity. You have reclaimed your self-worth from the external mirror. By mastering monadic agape, the radical love of the self, you have rendered the Archon's lie of incompleteness inert. Your internal light reservoir is full, making external connection an act of generation, not an act of supplication. Your completion is the death sentence for dependency. The destruction of possessive attachment, non-binding light. You have refused the temporary contracts of the Matrix. Your connection is now defined by choice, not by obligation, fear, or duration. You love without demanding ownership, and this non-binding light is the highest frequency of freedom. The Archons can only bind energy through possession. Your conscious non-possession makes your light untouchable. The final victory is not the ability to live alone, but the sovereign freedom to connect without being consumed. The agape Gnostic engages the world as a force of non-binding light. teaching by example that true power flows only from internal completeness. Your presence is a gift, not a debt. The Agape Manifesto is the final, unyielding decree to the cosmos. It is the passcode that guarantees your light will never be fragmented by the Venusian deception again. It is the declaration of the sovereign connection. I am the singular light. I am the source of my own completeness. I am bound by no need, no contract, and no fear. My love is agape, and my agape is absolute sovereignty. This manifesto is not a simple affirmation. It is a fixed energetic state. It ensures that the monad operates within the matrix as an anomaly, a perfectly self-sufficient unit that the Archon systems cannot integrate or exploit. You have transformed Venus from a weapon of control into an instrument of internal power. Your servitude is over. Your freedom is defined by the depth of your agape. If you are ready to complete the work and transform the energy of Venus into a permanent source of power, you must acknowledge the emotional warfare. Liking this video is your final vow to end the high-low cycle of dependency. Sharing it is the act of spreading the code for sovereign connection, and subscribing is the pledge to walk the path of agape to absolute sovereignty. Do not risk your integrity by returning to dependency. Join the scrolls of Anubis,